We are back here on Issues and Answers Free Speech Friday. I am Scott Cannon. Over there is the Rev.
What's up?
Yes, Reverend Delwyn Campbell. We are here. It is 6:31. Give us a call, 219-885-1371. That number again, 219-885-1371. I told you guys at the top of the show that this week was a very violent week. It really was. We had three more mass shootings. Rev. Including two in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, residents in two separate communities in California are reeling about two mass shootings in 3 days that claimed the lives of 18 people and injured 10 more. 5 men and 2 women were killed, and another man was injured in Monday's shooting in Half Moon Bay. The attack left residents in the Northern California town grieving just days after a gunman opened fire at a dance studio in Monterey Park. Yep. On Saturday, that attack left 11 people dead and 9 injured in the Southern California city. Now, the two mass shootings, just hundreds of miles apart, had some similarities. Both alleged shooters were men of Asian descent over age 60. In the Half Moon Bay shootings, police said the victims were both Asian and Hispanic farm workers.
Yeah.
Nearly all the victims of the Monterey attack appear to be of Asian descent. Now, this is a crazy stat right here, Rev. There have been more than 30 mass shootings in the United States so far this year, just as officials in Half Moon Bay were gathering for a news conference on Tuesday. Reports of a shooting in Yakima, Washington started to make headlines. I did see something about that, but I didn't know how many people were killed there. Now, to me, Rev, you know, we do the dance every time this thing happens, where there's a mass shooting, and then people say, one half of people says thoughts and prayers, and the other half says we got to ban guns and start taking guns. One of the reasons that I felt like we need to do this segment was I think it's time for us to be real about guns in this country. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
They are not going to go anywhere, folks. There's 400 million guns in this country, held by 300 million people. Now, obviously, everybody in America isn't a gun owner, and there are people who have 17, 18 guns. But guns are not going anywhere. And I know a lot of people, this may sound dark, Rev, I don't know, but on some level, if you live in a society with a certain amount of freedom in it, bad things are just going to happen.
Okay.
I actually looked this stat up. Did you know that alcohol kills 140,000 people a year in America?
Alcohol.
Just alcohol. Excessive alcohol use is known to kill more than 140,000 people. That's over 100,000 more than get killed by guns in America, even if you count suicides. I personally don't count suicides because I believe to me, if somebody jumps off a bridge, I don't say the bridge killed him. Or if somebody jumps in front of a train, we don't say it's the train's fault. I don't blame the gun when somebody kills themselves. I will say that when somebody uses a gun to kill somebody else, then you can rationalize that maybe they wouldn't have been able to kill him if they didn't have the gun. But somebody who wants to kill themselves is just going to kill themselves.
Right.
But alcohol kills over 100,000 more people than guns do. And it is also a drain on the American economy, mostly due to losses in workplace productivity.
Uh-huh.
But in this country, we don't say, well, we did at one point, but we don't say now, we have to get rid of alcohol. We got to get rid of alcohol.
We tried that. We did try that.
And it failed.
Yeah.
And so nobody even makes the suggestion anymore. We just understand that there's a certain amount of death that's going to come by having alcohol around.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm so sick of doing this dance with the guns where everybody says, oh, we got to get rid of guns, or we got to get rid of it's just not going to happen.
Mm-mm. So, given that, and here's the other side of it, I think in each of the shootings in California, and California is not a wild, wild west state, although it's out in the west.
They have strict gun laws.
Very strict. But in neither of the cases were the perpetrators carrying military-styled weapons, unless you want to call the semi-automatic pistol a military-style weapon. They were carrying handguns,
Mm-hmm.
and that has always been, the bee in my bonnet was all this, all this noise about these Armalite 15s and these guns that are designed to look like military-type weapons because they don't have a wooden stock. They have the plastic or metallic stock and all this such. The reality is, if you wanted to go and just shoot up a bunch of people, it's kind of hard to hide an Armalite 15.
Yeah, kind of.
But a handgun is really easy to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And, a semi-automatic handgun is just what most people buy because they don't want to have to be reloading 6, chambers and reloading 6 chambers and reloading 6. They want to be able to load it one time. And because of the fact, to be honest, it's really hard to shoot a handgun accurately.
Right.
The barrel is not that long.
Right.
And so, if you're gonna use it, you're gonna fire a lot of bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a whole bunch of reasons why people are going to tend to buy handguns, and if they snap and decide to go off the deep end, they're 9 times out of 10. Oh, and one other reason: they're cheaper.
Mm.
An AR-15 costs a lot of money.
Yeah, they do.
So here's these 2 guys out there in California, old guys too. They were old guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what stresses they were going through. But you see, that's another thing. We never know what sort of stresses anybody is going through.
Right, we don't.
And a person snaps, just like that one guy up in Wisconsin. He drove his car through all those people.
Yeah, at the Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He drove his car through. Now, he didn't have an AR-15.
No.
He didn't have a extra long magazine in a semi. He had a car.
Mm-hmm.
And he just plowed through those people. And yet, no one said that we ought to be confiscating cars.
And people go, look, well, you need cars, and so they're not exactly the same. But I always go, but what is the utility for alcohol? Like I said, alcohol, people just like to drink, but alcohol doesn't serve any functional purpose. Okay, it doesn't. You can't protect your family with a bottle of whiskey. I guess you could get behind the burglar and hit him with a bottle or something.
Yeah.
But we just accept that on a certain level, there is a certain amount of tragedy that's going to happen to 140,000 people this year because of alcohol. Now, what we do is you can't drive drunk. And if you get drunk and kill somebody, you get held accountable for it.
There you go.
And to me, that's really all you can really do with guns as well is say, look, it's we have a Second Amendment. It's a free country. And so, but if you misuse the guns, if you misuse the gun, then we take your gun away. Or just like we take your car away, or we put you in jail.
Yep.
More than likely, we put you in jail when you misuse your privileges.
With the car, that's right.
So, I'm sorry. This whole.
I mean, look, I don't know anybody that thinks that mass. And there's another thing about this too. The definition of a mass shooting.
Yeah.
Is basically if 4 people got killed, it's a mass shooting.
Yep.
Well, shoot, based on that definition, on any given, Friday night in nightclubs across the country, you're bound to have some mass shootings.
Right, and I agree with you on that. They actually did change the definition of mass shooting a few years ago so that they can include all the shootings in like Chicago and stuff as mass shootings as well, which I thought was dishonest.
Yeah. In my mind, mass shooting should look something like that thing that happened in Vegas.
Right.
At that country concert where the guy was just taking pot shots at people. That should be called a mass shooting.
Right.
Just because 4 people died between, 2 sets of gang cliques, No, that's not a mass shooting. That's some typical gang banger gun. Otherwise, the whole prohibition was just one series of mass shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Al Capone and them was
They
doing
was
nothing.
mass shooting left and right.
That's it. And so, like, to me, like I said, I understand people's want, and they look at the rest of the world. But I go, look, the cat's out of the bag. Okay, maybe if America didn't have the culture it has, maybe you could
Yeah.
get somewhere with banning something. But America, since 1776, has been people with guns. Okay,
Yeah.
and so since that is the case, you're not gonna get rid of them.
Nope.
You're really not gonna get rid of them at all. But here's another part of the story that I think that people aren't talking about as much as they should. This idea of Asians as the model minority.
Oh, you're going there.
Yeah, well,
All right, let's go.
Because like we talked about handguns and your ability to kill a bunch of people with handguns. Did you know the worst school shooting in American history was a young Asian man in 2007 with that handgun, Cho Sung-wee, who shot, I believe, 33 people with a handgun. He killed 33 people with a handgun at Virginia Tech. And so all these years they've said, Asians are the model minority. Black people, you need to be like the Asians. Okay? Now, obviously, everything ain't going so swimmingly. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to things like education and net worth and all that other stuff, a lot of the reason that they make more money than everyone else is that people don't talk about is because they live in places with a higher standard of living. So they live disproportionately in Hawaii, California, and New York.
Right.
So yeah, since they basically congregate in those places and places where you have to make a lot of money to survive, and where the salaries tend to be higher. Like they're not in Mississippi, in mass. They're not in Alabama. So black people disproportionately live in Mississippi and Alabama, and those types of places. So even when we talk about how much money they make versus other groups of people, some of that is inflated by the standard of living in the cities that they live in.
Gotcha.
Where you would make, like cops make six figures in some places in California. Like
That's true.
Whereas in Gary, we can't get the police to get more. Now, I believe in Gary, we're at about 53,000.
Wow.
I do. I think they're trying to go to 55,000 for the police or something. If somebody knows, give us a call.
Man,
219-885-1371.
if I was 20 years younger, I think them uniforms look pretty good. $53,000 a year.
Yeah.
And do they get to take their cars home too?
Well, I always see them at the crib with their cars.
Man, oh man, of Chevys.
Yeah. So I mean, look.
I should have listened to my daddy when he said apply for that Gary Police Department job.
Well, I mean, like I said, in
But they
California,
work hard,
making
though.
six. They making six in some of those places, like in some of those suburbs, they're making six figures.
Yeah.
So they're not even getting shot at regularly and coming home with six figures.
But you know, in California, I mean, probably everybody but the fast food workers make six.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
My former pastor, he made six figures.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, that's why a lot of the reason why when they talk about the net worth of the income of Asian people, because they all live in California, New York, and Hawaii. And so they're disproportionately, so everybody makes a lot more money in those places. But the whole model minority thing has been used, I think, on some ways to sort of marginalize them and keep them out of this discussion, keep us down as black people, and say, you people, if you were better and worked harder, you'd be like the Asians.
Them.
You'd be like them. And so now we're seeing that there is a frustration and an anger in their community that they need to take out, and that they're feeling. And it's not just, the blacks and the Mexicans. No, these people have some pain in their community too, because you don't just go up multiple people, 3-4 people don't go up and shoot up tons of people because I just don't feel like going to school today. No, there's some legitimate anger in that community, and the model minority myth actually helps keep them suppressed in that way. Let's go to this call, Ref.
All right.
Hello, caller. You're the first caller of the day.
Yeah, I just want you to know it's very, very interesting conversation.
Well,
You hit on a lot of good points.
thank
But
you.
the only problem is it's a constitutional right, and how can you get rid of guns when it's a constitutional
Yeah,
right?
that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can you do that? We can't rewrite the law, but we can amend the law. And that's just it. But I just want to let you know, me as well as a lot of other people are listening to the conversation. So
Oh,
That's
great,
great.
great.
thank you.
Well, it's all good, brother.
I want to add something he just said there. Not just it's a constitutional right, but like you said earlier, it's part of American. In fact, the Constitution really is just the codification of the culture.
Right.
When you think about that, what the rights that are expressed in our Constitution are the rights that Americans as a people have said these are important. These are things that must be defended or upheld.
Right.
That's why our Constitution in some cases looks different from other countries. We have rights that other countries don't really think that deeply about.
Right.
Right. But we can amend that particular Bill of Rights. We can make amendments like they do amendments all the time in the country. So that's the reason why we're going to make amendments to it. So that's the reason why. The worst thing, you get rid of these guns that are mass rapid shooting type of magazines. Those that's it's terrible. And there should be real good background checks. Background report. I mean,
90% of people agree with that.
Yeah, background checks. Now the only thing
and a mental evaluation.
Yeah, I would throw this in there. Basically, it's already illegal to own an automatic weapon.
Right.
That's already, you have to have special permits to own. Like to own a Browning machine gun, you have to have special permits for that sort of stuff. Right. But the idea of a semi-automatic weapon, which is basically a weapon you pull the trigger and it shoots, and then it reloads itself. You don't have to reload it by hand. That's the technology. That's where we are. It's just like saying, well, we should go back to the horse and buggy days because cars are so dangerous. We should just all go back to horses.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
It's not.
And before I leave you, I just want to make another point. You made a real good point about policemen. I mean, all policemen are not bad. I mean, there's some bad apples, but you know what? You got a point. Psychologically, it's hard for them to go home every day after they're going to work, and one day they might be shot at, and they might be doing something else that's wrong. I mean, the psychological barriers for them are crazy. Just an example of what's happened in Chicago about a couple of the police officers committed suicide because they couldn't handle the pressure. So we have to find a way to appreciate the police officers. I mean, England has a way of appreciating. We should try to follow some of their procedures the way, because I don't think they even carry guns over there. But there's something we need to respect them.
Well, we need to take some of the pressure off of them. Like when there are certain cases that like they shouldn't be jaywalking and mental health meltdowns and stuff. There are mental health professionals. There are orderlies at mental hospitals who have to deal with people who are going through mental health emergencies all the time. Why do we call people with guns specifically to every single thing? And we've sort of just used the police as a way to cleanse the society of all the people that are undesirable.
Yeah, you had a good point. I don't know. Okay.
No, thanks for your call, brother. You can call back anytime.
All right, thank you.
It's all good. Yeah, we've used the police as basically, and I've talked about this before, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of Americans don't mind the fact that our police are far less qualified than other countries in terms of training, because a lot of people, especially, well, let's just be real, white America views the police as the avenging angels of our society. Basically, they can beat up and kill up and have a certain level of punity to take out the riffraff, the homeless, the poor, Black people, Hispanics, Native indigenous people, because a lot of people don't know this. Native Americans are actually the people most likely to be killed by the police. Native American men are the group of people most likely to be killed by the police out of anybody statistically. It's just not that many of those Native American men. You know what I mean? So that it doesn't show up on the level. But if you're looking at it statistically, they are the most likely to be killed. And
well, now, is this including, because on the reservation they have their own police forces,
right.
And they have a lot of issues on the reservation.
Yeah.
A lot of social issues there. But is that including on, or is that just Native Americans who live off reservation?
Well, that's actually a good question. I don't know. I looked that up during the break, but yeah, that's actually a very good question. They said they were 2.2 times more likely to be killed by the police than white people, and 1.2 more than black people. But it does not say whether that is just on the reservation or whether that is just in society at large. But we got to stop using the police for everything. The police should not be. A lot of this is a problem with the war on drugs.
Yeah.
The war on drugs. Police. Why are police arresting people for a nickel bag of weed or something? Or we had the saggy pants laws here in Gary.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, look, you may not like baggy pants, but all you're doing is creating more confrontations between black men and the police. That's all you're doing. And that's going to inevitably lead to more death and destruction. So, once again, that's where we end up at.
Another one of those laws that had good intentions.
Right.
Another prohibition type thing.
Yep. All right, folks, please stick with us here on WLTH 1370 AM. I am Scott Cannon. Over there is the Rev.
Hey, now.
Yes, this is Free Speech Friday. Give us a call, 219-885-1371. When we get back, happy happies.
Yes.